Lesson 4.2 is Trig graph discovery levels 1 through 3. In this lesson on Delta Math, it's very interactive, so all they have are these blank boxes here. So really this is sine of x function, which is what this black curve is. See how it's got the point 0, 0, and then at pi over 2 it's at 1, and then pi is 0, 3 pi over 2, so on. This is one cycle of it. So what you're doing is taking this parent function, trying to plug other numbers in these different boxes and get this to move or transform into the dashed function. So I highlighted the dash because it gets kind of confusing. The dash is what you're looking at. You're saying, how do I take the solid line and get it to where the dashed line is? The first thing I do is find the midline of the dashed function. So we go from a minimum value of 0 up to 4, so the midline would be at 2. So to make a midline, or to change your function, you want it to go up to, you put it in the last box. So your function, the plus whatever number, that's your k value on the end, that's going to make it go up or down. Then what I do from there is find the amplitude. That goes in the front. That's your a times your function. So see, I'm going up to, that's my amplitude, so I put that in there. So it would shift it and do all its things. Then I need to make sure, did the period change? So going from here, which is my sine graph, which is middle, high, middle, low, middle. See, I'm at 2 pi. It's no different. So I don't have to put anything there unless you want to put a 1, because really to get this is your b value. You take 2 pi divided by whatever your period is on the graph. Well, 2 pi out of 2 pi is just 1. Because the normal graphs have a cycle of 2 pi. 2 pi is a complete revolution on the unit circle, or 360 degrees before things start to repeat. So that's why we take 2 pi divided by the number. Okay, it might help to see this. This is really the form I'm using. So this plus k on the end, that's your vertical shift. This changes your amplitude, your times the sine, and then this is the period change. Okay, let's try another one. Sine graph again. Okay, looking at the dash, it's definitely got a bigger amplitude this time. Go from -5 to 5, so right in the middle would be 0. So I don't have a difference in midline or vertical shift. So you could put 0 here if you wanted, or just leave it blank. My amplitude, it's going up 5, so I would put that in the front. And then my cycle, I go from middle, but notice how I go low. So I go middle, low, middle, high, back to middle. Having these be opposite instead of going middle, usually I go up for sine. What that means is I've reflected. I've taken something that should have been here, and now it's reflected over the x-axis. So it should have done do, 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 do. It's reflected, and then that means that is a negative in front. So reflections mean there's a negative value in front. All right, number 3. Now we're switching to a cosine graph. Remember that starts at its midline, or at its high value, sorry. So looking at this, I already know it's a problem. We're starting at a low value instead of a high. That right away tells me I need a negative coefficient in front. My midline, if I'm going from -5 up to 5, again would just be at 0. So leave it blank or put a 0. My amplitude would be the 5, but again it's negative. And then the period, I guess I didn't even talk about on the other one. I need to go back to number 2, but hold on. So on this one, we're going low, middle, high, middle, low. That's one cycle. So 2 pi, so taking 2 pi, this is to get your b, divided by 2 pi is 1, so that's a 1 there. Go back up to number 2. No. Never mind. That's 2 pi as well. So 2 pi divided by 2 pi is 1. Alright, and then number 4. Lots going on. Try to look at just where are we starting. See how we're starting up high. That makes sense because we're cosine. High, middle, low, middle, high. So there's no negative needed to flip this. I see it's a midline is at 0, so I don't have any vertical shift. I'm having an amplitude of 4, and so this cycle ends at pi over 3. It goes from high, middle, low, middle, high, pi over 3. So to get this value, this b, you take 2 pi divided by pi over 3. Now we don't want to divide by a fraction. Instead, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're getting rid of this. So we're taking 2 pi over 1 divided by pi over 3, which we can't do. Instead, we keep the first fraction the same, we change the multiplication, and then we flip the second. So I get to where I can do it faster. Pi's are going to cross cancel. 2 times 3 is 6. So really my b value in here is 6. That's why these waves are happening so fast. It's like I'm taking an angle and making it 6 times bigger. And so it's going to happen and go through its cycle way faster. So the more waves you see, the bigger the number you're going to see.